Hey Rangers, welcome back to another video. Today I am going to be talking about how I think, or my theories are, of how Venjix is actually Evox and how it kind of came together. There's quite a few that I would kind of want to throw out there. Now, before I begin this video will contain spoilers, so if you've not seen any of the previous episodes, you're kind of waiting and thinking, hey, I'm going to watch the American version because that's when it's out. Then that's cool, then do that, but this will contain spoilers from previous episodes and stuff like that. But if you like this sort of video and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as that cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. You're gonna get some words wrong. So yeah, let's just jump straight into it. Let's go down memory lane. At the very end of RPM, Venjix, or Venjix, however you want to say it, some say it with an E, some say it with an I. In the very last episode of Power Rangers RPM, he hid within the Cell-Shift Morpher. And this is something that kind of speculated, is Venjix still alive? Which he was, and this was a big thing to leave on a cliffhanger. And I think that if RPM had ended there and then, we would have seen multiple stories, like, is it still alive? Is it just something to kind of like trigger you? Is it something to make you think, So we then completely forgot everything about it because RPM was set in a different universe. It had its own universe, it wasn't connected to anything. We then skip forward to Beast Morphers episode 1, which showed Devon meeting Evox for the very first time, or a computer virus type snake, which we didn't know. It then revealed itself to be Evox, and thus therefore its main plan was to kind of take over the morphing grid, and that was it. So many times people just didn't really kind of put two and two together. I had always thought that it was Venjix because it would make sense, and I kind of joked around for a little bit. With all this happening, we kind of got a bit more story. It decided to kind of go along. And in one of the episodes, which was the Evox snare, in the Evox snare, we are treated to a really good close-up of the RPM morpher, the Cell-Shift Morpher. And it's really weird that it was in the vault. Now, in the same episode, Nate actually explains that he uses old Ranger tech to kind of work on like the new stuff. So he takes inspiration from it. We saw tons of different weapons, different morphers, etc., and it kind of made a bit more sense. Now, there are 4 different ways that I could kind of look at this. Theory number 1. Back in the Samurai crossover with RPM, I also had to double check on this one because I didn't want to get it wrong. So in Clash of the Red Rangers, Scott comes across from the RPM universe to the Samurai universe, and they kind of start looking. Now, with many kind of viruses and stuff like that, when they're kind of access to other things, such as like computer networks, they're able to maybe have a look because they're not isolated. Now, the RPM Rangers would probably never have guessed that Venjix was in the morpher. It was one of those type of things where you're like, ooh, how did that one work? I reckon what happened was, in this theory, Venjix saw the fact there was a ton more Rangers. It was able to look at the morphing grid and kind of figure out, oh, hello, what is this? There is more information about this. It then turns around and kind of starts analyzing, and then kind of moved from their morpher into the morphing grid to kind of the computer network and kind of understand it. It lay dormant because it wanted to see if there were any more Power Rangers. Because of the morphing grid's energy, it wasn't able to come out, it wasn't able to do anything. So therefore, it kind of just waited to see what happened. With Nate being at a young age at the time and accessing the morphing grid and sharing this sort of stuff, I'm guessing maybe some of his research papers went online. It was kind of announced like, the power of the morphing grid is going to be able to sustain energy to multiple people, and thus therefore a clean and better way to help save the planet as well as energy, that sort of thing. So with this, Venjix was able to then start going into the computer network and find its way into Grid Battle Force, and is therefore kind of going into the computer system. It then learns about it, but rather than saying, hey, my name is Venjix, it decided to use the new name of Evox, which A, is a really cool name, and B, if you said Venjix, then literally that would have been the whole thing over straight away. So as it gains it, Nate sends it off to the cyber dimension, and we know the story from that one. That would be kind of theory number 1. The second theory to me would be that Venjix would have stayed inside the morpher. So in Dimensions of Danger, when Gem decided to come across, morph and do that, Evox was still in the morpher and then also saw that there was other ranges and accessed everything and was just like, boom, there we go. So it was able to kind of learn and then decide that there was loads of other ranges. And it's like, oh my God, like there's tons of this. Like, you know, I want this. I want to see the power. Like this power has more than anything and is able to defeat the evil. So if I have control over it, then I'll have control over all the Power Rangers and I'll be able to make whatever I want and etc, etc. That would be kind of more of the kind of second one that I would go with. Now the third one would happen again, but within when it was the Super Mega War, where there was tons of Rangers. You had every single Ranger from all dimensions before that, so basically just the RPM universe that just came across, and again it saw how Evox or Venjix saw loads of different Rangers and then started to kind of think, well hang on, if I can infect it, then I can make it my own, and thus therefore it kind of does that. Now that would be like kind of my third theory. That would be kind of the easiest one because Venjix would be able to see all the stuff, even if he doesn't kind of affect the morphing for the RPM Rangers. Now, the kind of the fourth one, which would make a little bit more sense and kind of put it up with the first one, would be the explanation of why the cell shift morpher is there. To me, I kind of think that when Nate was kind of developing and looking through the morphing grid, he was able to kind of pull information from all around. He was able to see RPM and he may have thought, do you know what, I kind of like cars. This is the best way to kind of make the sort of grid battle force from when we have the Racer Zord as well as Ravi Zord and stuff like that. That to me would be a way that he kind of looked at RPM. He had the actual device and the morpher, and he was able to start decoding it. This would have downloaded Venjix from the morpher and actually let it look around into the computer system, where Nate would have been working more on how to create these things, as well as look into the morphing grid and go, hey, you know, this is what we're doing, this is all our systems, and that's how Evox was. There wasn't a kind of computer shutout because there was nothing there to go there. Nate generally thought, well, hang on a minute, if I'm looking at all this sort of stuff, this is good technology. This is technology that wouldn't be around, and thus therefore he wouldn't have thought about it. He may have known a little bit about RPM, and the fact is that they fought Venjix and that's it. But then Venjix would have never been a thing. I'm guessing Nate would have talked a little bit to Dr. K because obviously that's the, you know, the information's passed on. So she would have said, yeah, Venjix has been defeated and that's it. And while Nate was downloading and looking at all the kind of morpher and stuff like that, he was able to download Venjix into a computer, and it kind of stayed there till everything was about ready and how they were going to use the morphing grid to get all the energy and actually make their own Rangers. This is when Venjix decided to kind of attack and get in there, because again, when Devon says that he saw something in the computer network that he, you know, everyone had to shut down, everyone was just like, everything's kind of safe. Like, you know, even Nate was more like, I'm not going to check it because of what some guy has said. And even the commander was like, double check, this has to go right. So obviously they wouldn't have looked for computer viruses, and thus therefore Venjix decides to go, hey, I'm going to come and sneakily get into your systems to create a brand new computer virus and thus therefore take over the morphing grid and thus therefore do it that way. Or maybe with the morpher in the actual Ranger Vault, it was able to hook up to the Wi-Fi and thus therefore send the information. Venjix would then download himself straight onto the Wi-Fi network and then do it that way, seeing as all the systems would be preparing it for the morphing test and everything like that. That's how I generally kind of think that will happen. Now, I generally kind of think that these are the 4 best theories that I can think of at the moment. I know probably other people have decided to talk about their own, but those would be the 4 that I would kind of go with. Now, with an episode coming up very, very soon, I think I can't remember the name of it, but the synopsis says that Nate has to go and speak to an ally because of a major problem. I think this will be Dr. K, and he will say, like, how did you do this? How did you get past Venjix? What happened? And I think we're going to get a bit more of the RPM storyline, and thus therefore it will just be probably just Dr. K going, oh, well, I was in an institute, I came up with it because I wanted this. And I think we're going to get some talks. It would be really nice if Dr. K came over to the normal universe rather than the RPM one, and you know, just generally help him. And I think this is when they'll find a way to kind of encrypt a certain code that when fired into him will actually put Evox, you can't absorb Morph X, or he can't turn around and change. He'll be locked in his body, and this will be the way that they'll start to kind of defeat him. Those would be my kind of theories on this, and seeing as the episode is out very much later on in like this week, I kind of thought I'd jump on, talk about it, because I have mentioned it in the past and how I kind of thought that this would all work. The other theory is just basically Nate created his own Venjix, and that's it. Now, I'm not going to go too much into that one because I actually reckon that will be the one that actually comes through the story. Like, none of the theories would happen. It would all just be about Nate. But yeah, I am going to leave it there with a theory. That's kind of what I kind of thought. I've been saying it kind of since, but we'll see what happens in the next few episodes coming up. So I'm going to leave it there. What are your thoughts? Am I right with my theories? Do they kind of make sense, or am I completely out of there? Let me know down below in the comments. The review should be out later on. This video will probably follow it because I want to get the episode review out first. So yeah, let me know what you think also of the previous episode that we've just had today. And yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, as well as a cheeky notification bell to be notified when more videos drop. Thank you very much for watching, Rangers, and I'll see you in the next video.